Designing a small home is a challenge for anybody, even a fully trained architect. However, today I wanted to share with you my 10 tips on how you can design the best small homes. What's going on, guys? My name is David Tomic and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about small homes. Small homes are generally defined as a space that you have no space. It is a very challenging project and it is always something that I look forward to when it comes to designing architecture. Today I wanted to share with you my 10 best pieces of advice for designing a small home or even renovating your own small home. This way you can absolutely maximize the space that you have been given. The first thing you need to remember is that space is luxury. You do not have a lot of space to work with, so make sure that everything is planned out perfectly before you go ahead and start working. So if you're renovating a small home, for example, you don't want to start on one section, finish that, move on to the next, finish that, and move on to the next. You want to map out and plan out the whole entire space. There isn't much to work with here, so that's exactly why you have to do the whole thing at once. If you're designing a new small home, on the other hand, it takes a very, very long time to plan out every single detail. Sometimes it takes longer to design a small home than it takes to design an entire mansion. So when it comes down to designing small homes, always remember that every detail has to be planned out before you begin actually doing any work. The next element to remember is storage is king. Storage is absolutely everything in a small home. So wherever you can store something, make sure it is a storage container. For example, if you have a bed, you can have it as a gas lift bed, which is storage underneath, or that same bed can be a Murphy bed that hides away, so you have additional space and additional storage. Any sort of TV cabinet, bookcase, shelving unit, coffee tables even, you have to select the right furniture that creates its own storage elements. You don't want to go out and purchase a nice big lavish coffee table that looks phenomenal, but at the same time it just takes up a whole 2 square meters in your living room and does nothing else but is a placeholder. So you have to get very creative and very clever. A coffee table shouldn't just be a coffee table. A bookshelf shouldn't just be a bookshelf. A bed shouldn't just be a bed. You have to really carefully think about every single piece of furniture that is going into that house. You also have to think about every structural element that's in that house and how you can actually utilize the space in there. A good example is I-beams and columns. If you have a beautiful column that shapes right through the center of your small home, it's usually in the shape of an eye. To simplify things, you can utilize that column and create bookcases or shelves or any sort of storage inside it, so it just isn't a random column in the middle of your floor plan or tucked away in the corner. You have to get as creative as possible. Another scenario is under stair storage. If you have stairs raking up to a loft, you have to make sure you utilize every step underneath, because after all that space underneath stairs is wasted space unless you carefully think about it. You can easily create that under stair storage into some sort of additional room like a study nook. It really gives you the ability to multi-purpose that space, which brings us on to our next point, multi-purpose rooms. A bed can be anything but a bed. If it's a Murphy bed, it quickly hides away into a wall cavity and it's disappeared, so you can utilize that space again. The underside of stairs can be converted into a study nook, so it isn't just a bunch of dead space. Walls can be operable, they can be sliding, they can be moving, they can be corner fixed. Whatever you can do to partition spaces and create an illusion of extra space, this is what you want to achieve with multi-purpose design. So for example, if you have 2 spaces, a living room and a bedroom with a partition sliding wall in the middle, that Murphy bed in the bedroom could be pushed away and that entire wall could be slid across to the edge of that room. So all of a sudden, your living room isn't half the size, but it's the full size. You really have to think about all the ways rooms can become multifunctional and multi-purpose. Now the next point is purely for inspiration. The Japanese do incredible things with small homes. So if you're looking for inspiration, make sure you research Japanese architecture and Japanese minimalism. Both of these can truly redefine your space and perception of what a small home could be. Now when we start thinking about traditional elements, we have to scrap that entire idea. Every single door in your small home should be sliding. They should slide into cavities and pockets, and they should slide flush. So when you push that cavity slider, all the way into the wall. There isn't that standard 50mm recess that sits out so you can grab the door. There's a little hook that pops out so you can take it. You want to be able to push that door as far away as possible, because if you think about a traditional swing door, all of a sudden you have a square meter in front of that door that's absolutely dead space. You can't do anything with it because the door needs to swing that entire range of motion. Whereas with a sliding door, you don't have that problem. So swing doors are a no-go in small house designs. Just like doors, windows are everything. The more windows you can utilize in a small home, the better. Windows give you the optical illusion of grandeur and space. With a small home, it doesn't matter where you place a window, it is going to be ideal. So think creatively about windows. You don't have to go and place 1,000,001 windows across the entire front north facade and just beacon that light into you. You can go with small highlight windows or narrow, skinny windows in order to genuinely bring in a lot of directed light. And if you don't have that ability to bring in natural light through the external walls, think about the ceiling space and think about the roof. With small designs, if you're starting from scratch, you want them to be as high as possible. If you can utilize voids and space, that again gives that grand feeling of space, even in a small confined environment. So having a double story void or having a story and a half where you can emulate a loft on top is fundamental in small designs. By pushing that ceiling height up as high as possible, you also get that added benefit of creating the windows in the ceiling. So now you can implement some skylights into your design to genuinely let that natural light flow through and fill it with light. The more light a small home has, the bigger it looks. The less light it has, the smaller and confined it looks. So you definitely want to try and get as much light in through the walls, through the ceiling, and by having as much space for that light to come into. Now, if you do have an abundance of natural light coming in from every direction, you don't want to have a dark, moody small home. It just can't be done effectively. I'm sure people have tried it, but I guarantee you, if you have a light, vibrant small home, it's always going to look bigger. It might appear like an optical illusion, but light reflects better off light colors. It isn't absorbed into the darkness. So by having light, bright walls, either whites, light grays, light beiges, any timeless color you can think of, it is always going to appear bigger. So you never want to go with the dark colors, no matter how trendy they are, no matter how much you love them, you want to stick to the light, bright colors. And finally, you do not want to feel like you're tucked away in a small home. You always want to have some sort of connection to nature. Greenery is pivotal in any small home design. A pot plant here and a pot plant there is all well and good, but you really want to try create that indoor-outdoor connection. So think about the windowsills, think about the outside of the building, how it can be created and pushed back inside the building. If there's an ability to create a planter in front of one of your main windows, then you can easily replicate nature coming out of the ground and into the home. It is a well-researched statement that greenery and nature genuinely makes people happier. Singapore, for example, is trying to improve their forestry in cities by doubling it as much as they can every single year to ensure people have a genuine sense of happiness. So living in a small home, living in something that you might feel claustrophobic in, you do want to emulate as much nature as possible to really trigger those psychological emotions. You want to stay happy in your home, you want to stay healthy in your home, and you want to genuinely love it as much as possible. Anyway, that's all for me today, guys. I hope this advice helped you on your small home design journey or on your renovation journey. Small homes are a challenge. Take as much time as you need and make sure you master plan everything. Anyway, that's all for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. And because this video forms one of my 28 videos in 28 days, it would usually be I'll see you next Monday, but in this case, I'll see you tomorrow.